Well, hello strange people, welcome back to the channel. Doing something a little bit different today. We're in the village of Lidford. It's a lovely little village, very ancient village. We're actually in the churchyard at the moment. The church behind me, the Church of St. Petroc, which was probably built on an earlier Celtic site. St. Petroc being a Celtic saint. And just across the way is the castle, what remains of it. Norman castle, built I believe in the early 1100s, 1130s, something like that. We're going to go and have a look at the original Norman castle now. Although this isn't really why we're here, and I'll explain a little bit more in a bit. Anything you want to say?
Catch you in a mo.
Catch you in a mo. So we're up on top of the original Norman castle now, built towards the end of the 1000s to consolidate the Norman conquest. It's as Amanda keeps saying, it's very small. She doesn't normally say that when we're outside. Anyway, the castle, the rampart that we're standing on at the moment was around about 6 meters high. Now it's just about 4, so it has gone down a little bit, but you can see the ditch clearly in front and this large single rampart, and then in behind you have just the flat area, which apparently had 6 buildings in it, all of them granaries. As I say, it's a very, very small castle. But it didn't have a wall on the far side corner because I don't know how well the GoPro is going to pick it up, because you've got a gorge down on this side, and as you can see, it's pretty darn steep. So this is what it would have looked like from inside this little castle. Yeah, you're not climbing up there in full armour, that's for sure. Not if somebody's throwing things at you. I don't know if you can see, but this is basically the corner of where the two gorges meet, because, well, you can get the idea, I hope, from the GoPro. You've got another gorge down there, and the two gorges meet, which basically makes Lidford a promontory with a pair of gorges either side. And again, we'll come back to why we're here in a minute. It's a lovely spot. I just wanted to say big thanks to a subscriber named Crawfish. He couldn't find the channel anywhere and realised that he'd been unsubscribed. And this is part of the reason why our views have gone down and our subscribers went down. And the reason is that YouTube had an update, changed all the algorithm, and some people got bumped off channels, and that's what's happened. Apparently the best way of doing it is to hit the bell icon, which I never ask anyone to do, but if you have hit the bell icon to turn it off, and then turn it off on again, sort of like a restart. If you haven't hit the bell icon, you know, obviously no worries. It's not going to help the what was it? It was about 8 subscribers a week we were losing at one point. So I'm afraid that's not going to help them. They'll just have to, if they want to, come back and look for the channel again. But that's what's happened. YouTube, it hasn't affected every channel, but I've sort of looked into it, and that's what's happened. They've had some sort of update, changed the algorithm around. People have been bumped off. I noticed that I wasn't getting notifications from people. I can't remember what I did now off the top of my head, but I will put it in the description, telling you what I did to actually get around to it. I also noticed that if I'd commented on somebody else's video, I wasn't getting any notification that that person had commented back or even hit the like button or anything. But yeah, I've managed to change it all, and it all seems to be working perfectly again now. So if you're having the same difficulties, as I say, I'll put into the description below exactly what I've done to change things around. But I'm told that hitting the like button, hitting the bell icon to turn it off and then turn it back on again, or even if you're not particularly interested enough to have the bell icon, just hit it on and off just to restart the system. That's my public service announcement finished for the day. So yeah, we've had a look at the church, we have had a look at the other castle, but there's a fair amount of people around it, and at the moment it's having some work done on it. And we've had a look at the Norman castle.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go back in history a little bit further.
Yay.
Do you want to walk around the ditch? All right, we're going to walk around the ditch of the younger of the two castles. It's just down here. It's almost something we're going to be talking about in a little while. But if you're watching, this isn't a Neolithic canal. So this is what we've actually come to see. So this side, we've got the gorge. Believe me, you're not climbing up there. And on this side, we've got a large bank which runs all the way across to the gorge on the other side, basically making this, I really don't know how well the GoPro's showing this up, but what would you say? I'm 6 foot, so it's roughly 2 meters tall still, isn't it? Above us. The top of the bank is roughly 2 meters above us. So this making it really a promontory hill fort. Now Lidford was one of King Alfred's burr towns. It was the most westerly of King Alfred's burr towns. And it was also a royal mint, producing silver coins. And it was also the birthplace of King Ethelred II, Ethelred the Unready's mother. So it was a very important town. In fact, at one point it was the most populous town in Devon outside of Exeter, which obviously was a Roman town and had been there for centuries. So this was a very important town. Now, a couple of weeks ago, a YouTuber named Paul Whitewick made a interesting little video about a place called Ponter's Ball near Glastonbury. And what Ponter's Ball is like a cross dike that goes across a promontory on the eastern side of Glastonbury. It's about a mile long. This isn't quite a mile long. This is probably, well, it's probably 3/4 of a mile at most long, this wall. Not all of it exists anymore, obviously, because the modern village is there. But this is certainly part of it. I'll just turn you around. Hopefully the GoPro is showing that up as quite a steep and high bank. Now, as I say, Paul Whitewick made this video about Ponter's Ball, and he, towards the end of his video, surmised that it was a defensive wall facing east, so that whoever was coming from the east, you were defending against them, on a promontory, rather like a promontory hill fort, rather like this place. And I've never been there, but from what I sort of looked at, the topography and everything around it, obviously Glastonbury, the Glastonbury Tor is an island, so everything around it would have been either very deep, impenetrable, that's easy for you to say, marsh, or wetlands. So it only really needed the one wall guarding the route through on. Now, I've heard somebody call it a ridge. I mean, you could, yes, it probably is a ridge. It's not a very wide ridge, not a very high ridge, not much higher than this wall is here now, a couple of meters apparently. I would even go so far as to call it a causeway, because you've got water both sides. And it was guarding the main route in, the dry route if you like, into the island. Now, probably a week later, I noticed somebody come up on Facebook, and he was really having a go at Paul. Paul freely admits he's not an archaeologist, he's not a historian, he's an antiquarian, I suppose. And as I say, he freely admits that his work is as much as anybody's guesswork. This gentleman was really having a go. Robert John Langdon is his name. He does have a YouTube channel. Less than 2,000 subscribers, whereas Paul has over 200,000 subscribers. And he was ridiculing the hill fort one wall defence idea. His idea of what these dikes are seems to be that they are Neolithic canals. Now, having looked into Robert John Langdon's work a little bit. I can best describe him as a tuppenny Graham Hancock. His ideas are pretty out there. Oh, look at that buzzard. Is that? Oh no, it's not a buzzard. It's just a raven. Yeah, it's a couple of ravens. Yeah, it's a tuppenny Graham Hancock. Neolithic canals. If you have a look at Paul's film, you can see, and I've sort of looked at the topography of the area and everything. This dike is definitely defensive, and it's not dissimilar in some ways to this. Obviously this doesn't have a ditch in front of it, but it doesn't really need a ditch in front of it, or in front of most of it. But yes, it's very similar to this. It's a promontory with a single wall. And as I said, this Robert John Langdon was really dismissive. He actually calls archaeologists idiots in his little piece that he wrote, and I will just put the piece in now so you can just read it. Stop the video, read it and see what you think. So we're just across the road and we're following an old footpath down to an ancient spring apparently. To my right is the bank of the old town, Saxon Wall. It's gorgeous, isn't it? So this we're on now is apparently the main entrance to the village. We've got the wall just here, it carries on just there, and this is the main entrance in. And down here we have the spring, which according to the notice board here would have been one of the principal sources of water for the village. And the trackway carries on up through there. That's interesting. I've not been here before. Oh yeah. So Robert John Langdon dismisses a single wall as a defensive artifact, whatever. I mean, he doesn't even call it a wall, he just calls it a bank, a cross dike, which is what it is really. It is a cross dike. Nobody actually knows what all the cross dikes were for. They were either defensive or they could have been, well, there are a myriad of different things that they could be. And that's one of my favourite flowers of this time of year, the convolvulus flower. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful big white bell. Absolutely horrible plant, but beautiful flower. Anyway, he completely dismisses the defensive wall. Now, as I've said, this is the defensive wall for the town of Lydford. And in 997, towards this time of year in 997, sort of September, October time, a really audacious raid was made on Lidford. Truly audacious. Well, here we have the town wall here. We just have the beginnings of what will be a quite considerable gorge. We're literally at the top of it. So yeah, a really audacious raid. I mean, it's so audacious that had this been in the Second World War, we would still be talking about it now. So 997, roughly 40 ships, Danish Vikings started raiding Somerset, North Devon and the North Cornwall coast. And I'm going to have a photo of this in a minute. Beautiful. The temperate rainforest looking at it's probably at its best this time of year after a long dry summer. Yes, so they started raiding Somerset, the Devon coast and Cornwall. They stopped off at Watchet in Somerset for a while, and then they set sail and they disappeared, and everybody thought they'd gone, when suddenly they reappeared in the mouth of the River Tamar, and they sailed up the Tamar good 20 odd miles to the village of Calstock. And there's a little valley not dissimilar to where we are now actually, called Danescombe, which the Danish army almost certainly marched up through. Now Danescombe and the Tamar Valley are about 15 miles from here. And they marched across country, burning and pillaging as they went, until they got to Lidford, and they attacked Lidford. And they attacked from the north, because that is the only really way you can attack, this being far too difficult. I mean, I've only walked probably 100 feet from Amanda, and it's already a good 20 odd foot down to the bottom of the gorge, and it only gets deeper as it goes down that way. Same on the other side, in fact deeper on the other side, and far more sheer on the other side. So they attacked from the north. We know they attacked from the north. Now numbers do vary. It could have been anything from 1,500 to 4,000 Vikings. It certainly made it into the Anglo-Saxon, what's it called? Anglo-Saxon stuff's not really my era. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, I can't remember what it's called now. But it certainly made, the attack certainly made it into that. And as I say, they attacked the walls, or the wall, and they didn't get through. They did not get through. It's just a single wall with a wooden palisade on it, and anything from 1,500 to 4,000 Vikings could not get in. Didn't raid the mint. I mean, you can't imagine the amount of silver that must have been here. Sorry about that, the GoPro conquered out. Over time, apparently 1 million coins were minted here. So they didn't get in. So one single wall, one single defensive line on a promontory held out. And this is why I think Paul Whitewick is right, that that wall built probably in the early Iron Age, so a lot earlier than what we're talking now. Probably 1,000 years earlier. That wall is defensive. Ponter's, I can't even say it, Ponter's Ball is definitely defensive. So Paul, if you're watching, mate, you're right. The other pillock is wrong. She who thinks she must be obeyed has made me come down and walk along the bottom of the gorge now. So the wall of the gorge, this side's got to be roughly 40 foot high. That side, well, I can't even see the top anymore, it's probably 60 foot. And we're just going down and down and down. You know what goes down has to come up, don't you? Come on, pearls of wisdom, come on.
You're going to carry me.
I'm going to carry you, am I? Okay. Now, I wouldn't normally make a video like this. I have pointed out a few things sometimes, but I've never bothered naming anybody. But I found this particular posting on Facebook where he's got 6,000 followers nearly. I found it distasteful at the very least. Certainly disrespectful towards another YouTuber, towards somebody who's just doing something that they love to do. I think we've pretty much come to the end, haven't we?
Yep.
Well, that was interesting. Right, while she carries me back up the hill, steaming up inside, look. So yeah, I wouldn't normally do this kind of thing, and but I actually thought it needed to be called out, and I'm pretty sure Paul isn't going to do it. I don't know Paul, never met him, seems like a nice chap. But I don't think he was going to bite, but I thought somebody ought to, because anybody that thinks well, I'm going to say it, crazy ideas like Neolithic canals linking one waterway to another waterway when he's actually on a waterway. It's pretty bonkers. Yeah, moss on that tree. That's damper than the space between your ears. Oh, I'm in trouble when I get home, aren't I? Anyway, thanks for listening to the ramblings of a carrot cruncher, and we'll bring you back on the next one, which I think is just going to be me and Patch, who couldn't make it today. He sends his apologies, but we didn't know whether there were going to be styles and things. He's a bit old for that. Now then, have you got anything you want to add?
So sorry you've had to listen to this. See you on the next one. Home time.
Just want to say one last thing. She's still alive. Just want to say one last thing. It's okay to disagree with people. There are lots of YouTubers that, well, not lots maybe, but several YouTubers that I disagree with, that don't appeal to me as people. But I would never make a Facebook post or a YouTube film about them. It's not fair, and it's very disrespectful. And if there's one thing that I've found over the time on YouTube, is that people on the whole are respectful. People that comment on my films have always been respectful, give or take one or two. So it's okay to disagree, but do it respectfully. That's all I ask. Right, I'm going to go home and
Don't say it.
Make her make my tea for me.
You're going to get loads of hate now for
Why?
being a chauvinistic pig.
You're a bigger chauvinist than I am.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
You do as you're told.
GoPro, stop recording.